The night sky above Earth was calm, filled with countless stars. A small ship, silver and smooth like liquid metal, broke through the clouds without a sound. Inside, Zara, an alien explorer from a distant world, sat with wide eyes. Her people had traveled across many galaxies, but this was her first mission alone. She was here to study a new species, humans. Zara had read many reports before coming. The data said humans were weak, slow, and harmless. They had no sharp claws, no strong skin, no wings, and no poison. They lived short lives and depended on simple tools. In her eyes, they were nothing but children of the galaxy, loud, curious, and fragile. She almost laughed at the thought that such a species could ever be dangerous. When her ship landed quietly in the forest, she stepped out and looked around. The air was thick with the smell of wet leaves and earth. Strange sounds came from the trees, calls of animals, whispers of wind. Zara wore her cloaking field, making her invisible to human eyes. She walked slowly, recording everything she saw. Her first sight of humans came near a river. A group of them sat by the water washing clothes, laughing and talking loudly. Their voices carried far in the still air. Zara tilted her head. They seemed so simple. Their hands moved quickly, their faces full of emotion. They joked, smiled, and splashed water at each other like children. These are the creatures the galaxy fears? She thought. They are harmless, but Zara did not leave. She wanted to understand more. She followed the humans carefully, hiding behind trees and rocks. They carried their clothes, their baskets, and their laughter back to a small village. The houses were simple, wood, stone, and straw. Smoke rose from the chimneys, carrying the smell of food. Zara's nose twitched at the strange but warm scent. For 3 days she watched them. In the morning, men left with bows and spears to hunt animals. Women worked in the fields, growing food. Children ran through the dust, shouting and chasing each other. At night they gathered together, sitting around fires, singing songs. Zara smiled. They were peaceful, almost innocent. Her recordings were clear. Humans are weak. They live in small groups. They are no threat, but then something strange happened. On the 4th night, Zara followed them again to the fire. This time the group was larger. Not just families, but many people from nearby villages had gathered. Their voices were low, almost like chanting. The fire burned higher, sparks flying into the black sky. Zara stayed hidden at the edge of the forest, her heart beating faster. Something about this night felt different. She saw men carrying something heavy between them. A cage. Inside it, a creature cried out in fear. At first, Zara thought it was an animal. But when the firelight touched its face, she froze. It was no animal. It was an alien. Her throat went dry. The creature had pale blue skin and golden eyes, a traveler from another world. She had seen pictures of this race before, explorers like her own people. And now, here it was, trapped, shaking, begging. The humans laughed as they placed the cage near the fire. The women sang louder, the children clapped their hands. Zara's stomach twisted. This was no hunting feast. This was something else. Her mind fought against the truth. Maybe they were just playing. Maybe they were not serious. But her eyes would not let her lie to herself. She watched as the humans opened the cage, pulled the alien out, and tied it down. The cries grew sharper, filled with terror. The leader, an old man with deep scars across his face, raised his hands. The fire lit his eyes like molten gold. His voice boomed across the gathering. Words Zara could not understand, but she felt the meaning in her bones. It was a ritual, a tradition, a hunt far older than she had guessed. The humans cheered. Knives flashed in the firelight. Zara's whole body shook. She had thought humans were harmless. She had thought they were peaceful, simple, almost childlike. But now, watching the scene unfold, she understood something terrible. Humans were not weak. They were predators. One of the children looked toward the trees. For a moment, their eyes seemed to meet Zara's, even though she was cloaked. The child tilted their head, then smiled. A slow, knowing smile. Zara stumbled back, her breath loud in her ears. Had the child seen her? No, it was impossible. Her cloaking field was perfect, but the smile remained in her mind, sharp as a blade. She pressed her recorder close and whispered, her voice trembling. I was wrong. Humans are not harmless. The fire behind her roared higher. The alien screamed. And Zara, hidden in the shadows, could not look away. Zara did not sleep that night. She sat inside her cloaked ship, replaying the images again and again. Humans laughing, fire burning, knives cutting, and alien screaming. Each time she told herself it could not be real. Maybe her mind had imagined it. Maybe it was a dream, but the recorder never lied. The scene played back in cold light. The humans had killed. The humans had eaten. And they had enjoyed it. Her first report had said, harmless. Now she could not write that word again. The next morning, Zara decided to stay longer. She had to know the truth. Were humans killers all the time or only at night? Was it only one tribe or all of them? The galaxy had to know before it was too late. She walked carefully back to the village. Cloaked, silent, almost like a shadow. The sun was rising and humans were already busy. Children ran, chasing each other with sticks. Women carried water from the river. Men cut wood and fixed their roofs. Their faces were smiling, kind, alive with joy. Zara watched them closely. Could these really be the same people who sang and cheered while another being was burned? Her heart said no. Her eyes said yes. At midday, she saw something that confused her even more. A woman fed bread to a stray dog, stroking its fur gently. The animal wagged its tail, happy. The woman laughed softly. Zara tilted her head. How could a creature capable of such cruelty also show such care? She followed the men into the forest. They hunted deer, silent and skilled. When one of them brought down a deer with an arrow, they cheered but also bowed their heads as if thanking the forest. They carried the body back with respect, care, kindness. All of it was real, and yet she had seen their fire feast. At nightfall, Zara stayed hidden near the village center. Once again, people gathered. This time it was smaller. Only the families sitting close to the fire eating the deer. The smell of cooked meat filled the air. Children laughed with greasy hands, men shared drinks, women hummed songs. It looked normal. Almost safe, but Zara's eyes stayed on the fire. Every crackle of the flame reminded her of screams. Every smile reminded her of hunger. She wrote in her log, "Humans are two-faced. By day they are gentle. By night they are predators. I do not know which is the truth." The next day she tried to go closer. She moved through the fields, invisible, stepping softly. The humans worked with tools, iron blades, wooden plows. Their hands were rough, strong. They were not as weak as she had thought. A child suddenly stopped, looked toward her. Zara froze. The cloaking field shimmered, but she did not move. The child's eyes narrowed. Then the child smiled and went back to work. Her chest tightened. Had she been seen again? Or were children simply too sharp, too clever? By the third night, Zara's fear grew stronger. She stayed close to the forest edge, watching the village. More people arrived, carrying heavy sacks. The air smelled strange, thick and sweet. Zara crouched low, recording every movement. Then she saw them, cages again. This time not one but three. Inside, different beings from different worlds. One had silver feathers, another had long arms like ropes. The last was a creature of light, glowing faintly even in fear. Zara's blood turned cold. These were not animals. They were travelers, explorers just like her. The humans gathered. The chanting began. The fire roared. Zara gripped the dirt so hard her hands shook. She wanted to run. She wanted to scream. But she stayed, her heart beating like thunder. The leader spoke again, his voice deep and commanding. She could not understand his words, but she felt the power in them. The crowd cheered, clapping hands, stomping feet. The cages were opened. The creatures cried out. Knives flashed. Zara looked away. But the sound filled her ears. The sound of flesh tearing. The sound of joy. She whispered into her recorder. They eat not because they are hungry. They eat because it is who they are. Her body trembled. She had seen enough. She should leave, return to her people, warn the galaxy. But something inside her held her back. Curiosity. Fear. A dangerous question. What if she was wrong again? She had thought they were harmless. Wrong. She had thought they were kind. Wrong. What if there was another truth, even darker, waiting to be discovered? As the fire burned higher, Zara stepped back into the shadows of the forest. She promised herself she would not leave yet. Not until she understood everything, because one thing was now clear. Humans were not just survivors. They were something more, something the galaxy had never faced before, and Zara was alone watching them while they were beginning to watch her too. Zara had stayed too long. She knew it. Her mission was simple: observe, record, return. But every night she told herself just one more day. Each sunrise gave her new questions. Each night gave her new fear. Her people would not understand. They lived far away in shining cities under safe skies. They had never seen humans. They thought Earth was only a young world with young creatures. They had no idea what Zara was seeing here. On the 5th day, she found the bones. It happened in the forest, not far from the village. She was following 2 hunters, watching their movements when she smelled smoke. Curious, she turned from their path and moved deeper into the trees. The air grew heavy, full of ash. Birds had fled. The silence pressed down on her. Then she saw it. A clearing blackened by fire. In the middle, a pit half filled with ashes and bones. Zara's steps slowed. Her stomach twisted. She moved closer, kneeling by the edge. At first, she thought they were animal remains, but as her fingers brushed the white fragments, she froze. The bones were wrong. Too long, too thin. The skull had wide eye sockets and sharp teeth, not the teeth of prey. Her heart pounded. She knew this shape. It belonged to a species that traveled the galaxy. Explorers like her. They were not strong fighters, but they were intelligent. And now they were ashes in the dirt. Zara's hands shook. She picked up the skull, turning it slowly. A mark cut deep across the bone, straight and sharp. A blade. A human blade, she whispered, her voice trembling. They eat the intelligent. They eat the travelers. Her recorder clicked softly, storing every word. She looked around the pit. More bones. Dozens of them. Different sizes, different species. This was not one meal, not one accident. This had happened many times before. Humans did not just kill when hungry. They hunted. They collected. They feasted. Zara's breath caught as she saw something else at the far edge of the pit. A broken device. She hurried toward it, wiping away the ash. Her chest tightened. It was a communicator. The kind explorers carried. She pressed the button. Static crackled, then a faint voice recorded long ago. Mayday. Caught humans. Please. The rest was lost. Her hand dropped the device. She could not move. Her mind screamed, leave, leave, leave. But her body stayed frozen, staring at the pit of bones. Suddenly a sound. Voices. Zara's head snapped up. Through the trees, humans approached, carrying baskets of roots and herbs. They were laughing, talking, ordinary. But their path would bring them straight to the pit. Straight to her. Her cloak shimmered as she activated it fully, pressing her body low against the ground. She prayed they would not notice. The humans entered the clearing. They looked at the pit casually, like it was nothing. One man tossed a stick inside. Another kicked some ash aside. A woman set down her basket and sighed as if she were at home. Zara's heart stopped. This was their place. Their ground. The woman picked up a bone, turned it in her hands, then smiled. Strong jaw, she said in a language Zara's translator caught. This one gave us a good feast. The men laughed. Zara felt sick. Then one of the hunters bent down and pulled something from the ashes. A small pendant, silver, glowing faintly. He tied it around his neck like a prize. Zara's claws dug into the soil. They did not just eat. They remembered. They wore their victims like trophies. The group stayed a while, chatting, eating some fruit, resting. Then they left, walking back toward the village. The pit of bones remained. Zara crawled forward again. She forced herself to look once more at the skull in her hands. It was cracked, broken, silent, but its empty eyes seemed to beg her, warn them. Warn the galaxy. She wanted to run to her ship, leave Earth forever. But another thought whispered in her mind. What if this is only one village? What if all humans are like this? If she returned with only half the truth, the galaxy might ignore her warning. They might still see humans as weak. And then more explorers would come. More ships would land. More bones would fill the pit. Zara's body shook with fear, but her mind hardened. She could not leave yet. She had to see more. She had to know. That night she returned to the village. The fire burned bright again. More people had gathered, more cages dragged close. Zara stood hidden in the trees, her recorder steady in her hands. The leader stepped forward, his scarred face lit by fire. He raised his hands and the chanting began. Zara whispered to herself, "This is not one village. This is who they are." And deep inside, she realized the most terrifying truth of all. Humans were not only dangerous, they were proud of it. Zara should have left. The evidence was enough: cages, fire feasts, bones burned into ash. Any sensible explorer would have returned home and shouted the warning across the stars. But Zara did not leave. Something inside her refused. It was not bravery. It was not duty. It was curiosity. a dangerous, sharp curiosity that whispered in her ear, "Look closer. Understand them. Know the truth of humans." And so she stayed. The next morning, she slipped back toward the village. The humans were awake early, moving through their day with laughter and ease. The same hands that had torn flesh now built homes, planted seeds, and comforted children. Zara's mind spun. How could the same people who screamed for blood at night also smile so warmly in the sunlight? Were they pretending? Or did they not see their actions as wrong? She wanted to hate them, but she could not. Watching them work, she saw strength, intelligence, and something else, something dangerous. Unity. Humans were always together. They ate together, built together, even hunted together. Their power was not only in knives or fire. Their power was in numbers and loyalty. They would kill for each other. They would die for each other. Zara's people lived in shining cities, but they lived alone in their hearts. These humans, they lived as one, her recorder whispered as she spoke softly. They are not weak. They are not simple. They are united, and that makes them strong. Later that day, she followed them deeper into the forest. A group of men carried spears, their eyes sharp, their bodies fast. She thought they were hunting animals, but soon she saw otherwise. They were tracking something else. In the distance, she spotted a creature hiding under a fallen tree. Its body glowed faintly blue, its wings trembling with fear. Zara recognized it instantly, an explorer from the Orion system. Alone. Lost. Her chest tightened. The humans moved silently, spreading out like wolves. They whistled softly to each other, signals Zara did not understand but admired. In moments, they surrounded the poor creature. The alien cried out, its voice shaking the air. But no one came to help. The humans struck quickly with practiced ease. Spears pierced, ropes tightened, and the glowing being was dragged screaming back toward the village. Zara clutched her recorder, whispering in horror. They do not wait for prey. They hunt it. She followed them all the way back. The cage was waiting, already open. The humans threw the new prisoner inside and locked it tight. Then they went back to their daily smiles as if nothing had happened. Zara's hands trembled. She wanted to help, to break the cage, to save the poor being. But she was only one against many. If they caught her, she would join the feast. That night, the cage was dragged near the fire. Zara could not watch. She turned her back, covering her ears. But still the screams came cutting through the forest, and yet she stayed, because she wanted to understand. The next morning, she saw something she did not expect. The humans were kind again. A young boy had cut his hand on a sharp stone. The leader himself, the scarred man, bent down and tied the wound with gentle hands. He gave the boy water and whispered words that sounded like comfort. Zara's mind twisted. How could this same man who killed without mercy also protect with such love? She wrote in her log, "Humans are a contradiction. They are killers, but they are also protectors. They destroy, but they also build. Perhaps this is why they are dangerous. They are not only one thing, they are many." That evening, she dared to walk even closer to the village. Her cloaking field hummed softly. She stood so near that she could hear their voices clearly. They were telling stories around the fire, laughing, clapping hands. One story made her freeze. A man spoke of the stars. He lifted his arms, pointing to the sky. The others listened closely as he spoke of strange lights in the night, of visitors who came down from the heavens. His voice grew darker and the crowd leaned in. Zara's translator worked hard, but the meaning was clear. The story was about the sky people, aliens. Her kind. He spoke of hunting them, of feasting on their flesh, of taking their strength into human bodies. The people cheered. Zara's blood turned cold. This was not only tradition. This was belief. They did not eat to survive. They ate because they believed it gave them power. She pressed her recorder tightly. They think they grow stronger by consuming others. It is not hunger. It is faith. As the fire crackled, she took a step back into the forest. Her mind was full of fear, but her curiosity still burned. She had discovered something worse than cruelty. Humans were not only predators, they were believers, and that made them unstoppable. Zara's curiosity had kept her close for too long. She thought she could hide forever, that her cloaking field would protect her. But humans were hunters. Hunters always noticed when something was near. It started with the child. One evening, as Zara crouched near the village edge, a little girl paused in her play. She stopped chasing the other children, stopped laughing. Her eyes drifted toward the trees where Zara stood. The cloaking field shimmered faintly in the firelight. For a heartbeat, Zara was sure the child saw her. The girl tilted her head, her smile slow and knowing. Then she turned away and joined the others again. Zara's chest tightened. Had she been discovered? Or was it only her imagination? The next day, more strange things happened. When Zara followed hunters into the forest, one of them suddenly stopped. He sniffed the air, turning slowly as if sensing something unseen. His eyes scanned the shadows. Zara held her breath, standing completely still. After a long moment, he shrugged and walked on, but fear pressed heavy in Zara's mind. Humans notice things, small things, too small for safety. That night, she returned to her ship, pacing back and forth. "I must leave," she whispered into her recorder. "They are beginning to sense me. If they catch me, I will not escape." And yet she did not leave. Curiosity, that cruel chain, kept her bound. On the 6th night, the trap began. The humans gathered again, as they always did. But something was different. Their fire was larger, brighter. Their chanting was louder, harsher. Zara felt the energy of it vibrate in her bones. She moved closer, recorder in hand. The leader, the scarred man, raised his arms. His voice thundered through the night. Zara's translator worked furiously, catching fragments of meaning. "Tonight we hunt. Tonight we feed. Tonight we grow stronger." The crowd cheered, stamping their feet, clapping their hands. Then something strange happened. Instead of bringing out cages, the humans set out bowls of meat. Not alien meat, just deer, rabbits, ordinary animals. They roasted them over the fire, sharing the food freely. Zara frowned. This was not the ritual she had seen before. This was different. The people ate quickly, their eyes darting often toward the forest. Toward her hiding place, her stomach dropped. Were they waiting? A sudden snap echoed behind her. A branch. Zara spun around. The forest was quiet, but too quiet. No birds, no insects, only the sound of the fire far behind. Her instincts screamed. Something was wrong. She stepped back, but her foot caught on a rope hidden in the leaves. A sharp tug yanked at her leg, pulling it hard. The cloaking field flickered. For a terrifying moment, her body shimmered, half visible. From the fire, a child laughed. Zara froze, her heart slamming against her chest. She bent quickly, cutting the rope with a small tool from her belt. The trap snapped free. She stumbled backward, her cloak stabilizing again. But the humans had heard. Their laughter grew louder, darker. The leader's voice rang out, sharp as a knife. "It is here. The Watcher is here." The villagers turned their faces toward the trees. Zara's cloak held, but she felt their eyes on her, piercing, knowing. She fled. Her legs carried her through the forest, branches slashing at her arms, roots pulling at her feet. Behind her, voices rose, cheers, chants, the sound of pursuit. She had thought she was the hunter, the observer. But now she understood. She was the prey. The humans moved faster than she expected. She heard them spreading out, flanking her, driving her toward something. Each time she turned, another sound blocked her path. A whistle here, a laugh there. They were not chasing blindly. They were guiding her. Her breath burned. Fear clawed at her throat. She had to reach her ship. Only the ship was safe, but then ahead she saw it. A line of sharpened stakes hidden beneath branches blocking her path. She stumbled to a stop. Another trap. Behind her, voices grew closer. She turned sharply, cutting through a narrow gap between trees. For a moment, silence returned. No footsteps, no voices, only her heartbeat. She pressed against a trunk, whispering to herself, "They know I am here. They are hunting me. I am not safe." Her recorder clicked softly, capturing her trembling voice. Then, from the darkness, a sound chilled her blood. A child's giggle, slow, close behind her. Zara spun, but there was nothing there. Only shadows. Only silence. Her hands shook as she stumbled back toward the forest edge. She could not return to the ship tonight. Not with humans circling her like wolves. She would have to hide until sunrise. As she pressed herself into the roots of an old tree, cloaked and trembling, she realized the truth she had been avoiding. The humans had seen her, and worse, they wanted her. The sun rose, but Zara felt no warmth. She had not slept. She had hidden in the roots of an old tree, her cloak humming softly, her body trembling with fear. All night she heard humans moving through the forest, whistles, footsteps, laughter. They were searching for her, hunting her. When morning came, the sounds faded. The village returned to its daily rhythm, men hunting, women gathering, children laughing. It looked peaceful, harmless, even beautiful, but Zara no longer trusted what her eyes saw. She whispered into her recorder, "They know I am here. They have set traps for me. They will not stop until they find me." And yet she did not leave. Curiosity held her still. She wanted to understand the ritual, the true heart of human hunger. That night she found her answer. The fire in the village was larger than ever before, its flames stretching high into the sky. The air smelled of smoke and blood. Hundreds of humans gathered around, more than Zara had ever seen. They came not just from the village, but from others far away. Warriors with painted faces, women with sharp eyes, children who clapped their hands with excitement. This was no small feast. This was something greater. The leader stood tall before them, his scarred face glowing in the firelight. His voice thundered, carried by the wind. Zara's translator struggled, but the words came clear enough. "Tonight we honor the old ways. Tonight we take the strength of the stars into ourselves." The crowd cheered, stamping their feet. Then the cages came. Not one, not two, but many, dragged by ropes, pushed by strong hands. Inside were creatures from across the galaxy. Different shapes, different colors, all trembling with fear. Zara counted at least 7. Their cries filled the night, but the humans only grew louder, chanting to drown them out. Zara's stomach twisted. She pressed against the tree where she hid, her recorder shaking in her hands. The leader raised a blade, long and shining. "The stars feed us. We feed on them. Their power becomes ours." The people shouted, "Ours! Ours!" The first cage opened. A feathered being stumbled out, wings broken, eyes wide with terror. The crowd surged forward, grabbing, pulling, holding it down. The screams tore through the forest. Knives flashed. Blood spilled. Children laughed. Women clapped. Men roared with pride. Zara turned away, but she could not block the sound. It filled her mind, her chest, her soul. "This is not survival," she whispered. "This is faith. This is worship." The second cage opened. A glowing creature of light was dragged into the flames. Its body flickered, fighting, but the fire swallowed it whole. The humans cheered louder, their faces painted red by the glow. Zara's claws dug into the dirt. She wanted to scream, to run, to stop it, but she was only one, and they were many. The third cage opened. Zara's breath caught. Inside was a being she recognized, tall, silver-skinned, with eyes like her own people. An explorer caught like an animal. Her heart pounded. This could be her fate. This could be her tomorrow. The humans dragged the silver being forward. The leader raised his blade high. The crowd fell silent, waiting. The explorer looked up at the stars, whispering a word Zara's translator caught. "Mother." Then the blade fell. The crowd erupted, wild with joy. They tore into the body, passing pieces of flesh from hand to hand. Zara's vision blurred with tears, but still she recorded, still she whispered. "They believe the stars made them hunters. They believe they must eat us to become more. If the galaxy does not know, if the galaxy does not act, they will spread. And when they spread, nothing will stop them." She pressed her recorder tight, her voice shaking. "I fear I will not escape this place." The fourth cage opened, then the fifth. Each time screams. Each time cheers. Each time fire. The ritual grew wilder. Humans danced around the flames, their bodies painted with ash and blood. Their chants rose higher, filling the night sky. Zara realized something terrible. This was not only a feast. This was a promise that they would never stop. The leader shouted above the roar, "We are more than flesh. We are the storm. The stars will fear us." The crowd answered as one, "Fear us. Fear us!" Zara's hands trembled. She had studied countless species across galaxies, but never had she seen anything like this. Not hunger, not survival, not madness. Purpose. Humans believed this was their destiny. She pressed back into the shadows, forcing herself not to run, not to make a sound. If they caught her tonight, she would be the 8th cage. Her cloak hummed softly, barely holding against her shaking body. She could feel their eyes searching, sensing, and for the first time, Zara understood something darker than fear. The humans did not just want her body, they wanted her spirit. Zara had survived longer than she should have. Each night she told herself, "Just one more observation, then I will leave." But each night pulled her deeper, like a web that only tightened around her. And then one small mistake broke everything. It was the seventh night. The ritual had ended hours ago, but the fire still burned. Smoke curled into the sky, carrying the heavy smell of blood and ash. Most of the humans slept inside their huts, their voices silent. Only a few guards sat awake, staring into the flames. Zara crouched near the edge of the village, recorder in hand. She whispered quietly, describing the horrors she had seen. She wanted every word stored, every sound remembered. Her hand slipped. The recorder clicked louder than it should have. A sharp, unnatural sound that cut through the night air. One of the guards turned his head. His eyes narrowed. Slowly, he rose to his feet. Zara froze, holding her breath. Her cloaking field shimmered softly around her, bending the light, hiding her form. She prayed the sound had been ignored, but the guard did not sit back down. He took a step toward the trees, then another, his head tilted like a predator sniffing the air. Zara's claws dug into the dirt. She could not move. If she ran, the cloak might flicker again. If she stayed, he might walk straight into her. The guard stopped only a few steps away. His eyes scanned the shadows. His mouth curved slowly into a smile. Then he whispered a single word into the darkness. Watcher. Zara's chest tightened. He knew. The guard turned and walked back to the fire. But his smile stayed sharp and satisfied. Within minutes, more guards appeared. They spread out through the village, whispering to one another. Their voices were low, but Zara's translator caught fragments. Close. In the trees. Not an animal. Her blood ran cold. They had not seen her fully, but they no longer doubted she was there. She slipped back into the forest, moving as quietly as she could. Her heart pounded so loudly she feared they would hear it. Every branch seemed to crack under her feet. Every shadow seemed to betray her. When she finally stopped, far from the fire, she pressed her recorder close and whispered, They know about me. They call me Watcher. They are hunting me now. Her voice trembled. For the first time since arriving, she thought seriously about fleeing to her ship. She imagined lifting off, leaving Earth behind, carrying her warning to the stars. She imagined safety, but then she imagined the pit of bones, the cages, the screams. If she left now, others would come. Other explorers, unprepared. They would fall into the same trap. The galaxy would not believe her without proof. She could not leave yet. The next day, the village was different. The humans still worked, still laughed, still tended their children. But their eyes were sharper, restless, hunters waiting for prey. Zara noticed something else. Traps, ropes hidden under leaves, pits covered with branches, stakes placed carefully in the ground. Each one set not for animals, but for something larger. Something like her, she whispered into her recorder. They are preparing for me. They know I exist. They do not run from the unknown. They hunt it. Her fear grew heavier with each passing hour. By evening, she returned to the forest edge. She could not resist. She had to see what they would do tonight. The fire was lit again, larger than before. More villagers gathered, but this time the chanting was quieter, focused, intent. The leader stood, his scarred face grim. He lifted a bone from the pit, holding it high. His voice roared, "The stars are watching us, and we are watching back. Tonight we hunt the Watcher." The crowd erupted in cheers. Children clapped, women sang, men struck the ground with their spears. Zara's breath caught in her throat. They were no longer hunting strangers. They were hunting her. Her recorder clicked softly as she whispered, "They speak of me. They know I am near. The ritual is changing. I am no longer the observer. I am the sacrifice." She stepped back into the shadows, every muscle tense, and then it happened again. Her cloak flickered. Just for a second. A faint shimmer, a ripple of light. One of the children pointed at the trees. His small voice rang out, "There! There it is!" The crowd turned as one. Dozens of eyes burned into the darkness, staring directly at her. Zara stumbled back, her cloak struggling to stabilize. Her heart raced. She wanted to run, but her legs felt heavy. The leader's mouth curved into a smile. "The Watcher joins us at last." The fire roared higher, sparks exploding into the night sky. The villagers surged forward, their chants shaking the ground. Zara turned and fled into the forest. Behind her, the hunt began.